Okay, class, let's go!
Whoa, we're starting already? Step to the left, no to the right. Oh, now back. How are they lunging like that? Turn around? How did I let Jen convince me to come here? Wait, now do what? How are they doing that? You know what? I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm doing in this class and have fun.
Fearless is being the only newbie in class. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits, tools, and wellness programs at fepblue.org/getactive.
Blog Talk Radio.
Season 7, Debate Talk for You. GMG, Seek Truth. Listen, I'm on a get knowledge mission. Debate Talk for You is a Great Lake petition. You know a war got a blaze in the kitchen. If the seat too hot, don't try to sit in. We touch topics to bless you, yes. And plus we got a line up a special guest. You heard about Josh, he the champion. Absolute Bible truth is the champion. Can't forget Zadok, the brother always stay hot. And the KOJ is like a rank on top. Shout out Emunah. Relationship issues gonna have to get dealt with either later or sooner. Live on air, when Sal hit the button, it ain't no front, you better ride prepared. Put it out, look at how hard you went. Can the other side handle your argument? When the question pops, now is your chance to respond. Don't dodge like why is it sick? Waiting for the answer, like 1996 in the NBA draft when AI was the pick. Man in the mirror, wake up, use your head. It's not a hat rack, begin a new era. Shows like this be few to none. And where we come from, speak the Hebrew tongue. Take down notes, the audience votes, and then check back in to see who won. Debate Talk for you, 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 for you.
That's our popular demand. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Achad. Shalom, this is Brother Jason of the Hand of Yah Ministries, where the name of Yahuwah is proclaimed. And I want to thank Sal Showtime for allowing the Heavenly Father to use him and his show, Debate Talk for You, as a meeting place for people around the world to hear scriptural truth. If this show has been a blessing in your life as it has been in mine, send a donation to the ministry and support the work. Keep up the good work, Sal, and may Yahuwah bless us all.
Peace and blessings to everyone that's listening. This is Moreh Yakel, the mighty Hebrew, Lion of Judah with Campaign for Biblical Literacy Ministries, walking in the way of my forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, observing the Torah, slaying devils, and manifesting the blessing of the Most High. Come by, pay us a visit by going to my website at www.campaignforbiblicalliteracy.com and by going to my YouTube channel at Campaign for Biblical Literacy Ministries. Shalom.
Never allow the possibility of your heart desire to trouble your mind, whether it is success or happiness, because your mind is a powerful machine that is very capable of manifesting anything that it conceives and believes in. Become more enlightened about life and the subconscious mind by visiting quotesforthemind.com. You are only as strong as the thoughts that constantly dwell in your mind. Therefore, never allow any negative belief about your abilities in life to be granted shelter in your mind. Edmund Mbiaka, quotesforthemind.com.
Hi, this is Tyrone Thompson, host of the Blog Talk Radio broadcast, Talk Real Solutions. Please tune in and listen to all of our shows 7 nights a week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At Talk Real Solutions, we cover a variety of topics to ensure we speak about what may be needed in our community at any time. Talk Real Solutions is the hottest blog talk radio show going on right now. You can listen to our broadcast at www.blogtalkradio.com/talkrealsolutions or visit our website at www.talkrealsolutions.com. Also, like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/talkrealsolutions. You can call in at any time during the show and add to the conversation and offer your solutions at 1-858-357-8453. That's 1-858-357-8453. Because at Talk Real Solutions, we want to make sure you have a chance to talk real solutions.
You don't want to miss checking out the most controversial video of the year. Everybody's talking about it. A video produced by Absolute Bible Truth teacher, Brother Josh. The video is entitled, Is There a Secret Gay Agenda Amongst the Comedic Conscious Groups? Once again, it's one of the most talked about videos right now, and you want to make sure you go check it out. So go to the website, www.absolutebibletruth.com/store. And once you get it, it's an automatic download. You don't have to wait for it to be sent to you in the mail. It's an automatic download. So once again, go check out the video, get it fast, and get it now.
Shalom, Israel. This is Brother Robert, a.k.a. Pastor Nobody, from the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies class. You can find us on thefountainofisrael.com or use the search box on YouTube and type in Fountain of Israel. You can also email us at foibiblestudies@inbox.com. Again, that is foibiblestudies@inbox.com. We believe the whole Bible is the truth and relevant to our lives today. Join us weekly as we feed the flock with the uncut word of God. Matthew 4:4 says, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So until next time, this is Pastor Nobody. Search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom, Israel.
This is Frank Nowak, coming straight out of Phoenix, Arizona, a.k.a. the Soldier of Faith, a.k.a. the Catholic. When I'm not exegeting scriptures according to the early church or studying the church fathers, I'm listening to Debate Talk for You with Sal Showtime. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Sicut erat in principio et nunc et in seculum seculorum. Amen.
What it do, people? It's your boy B. Lit Dive, and I'm chilling over here with my man, Sal Showtime, man. And I'm just here to let y'all know that there's only one place that you need to go to hear the word from the word, man. And that's at Debate Talk for You, man. I'm going to slow it down, man, because a lot of people slow. I speak fast because I'm from New York, but, I'm going to slow it down, man. That's Debate Talk for You, hosted by my man, Sal Showtime. You dig? Keep it tuned, man. You already know what it is.
Yo, Shalom. Call Allah Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. It's Brother Chief Priest Alazar Bun Lawyer, a.k.a. the Gorilla Hebrew, representing Exodus 17:15, a.k.a. Defected the Sakari. And you know where I'm at. Every Friday, the Lion's Den with Sal Showtime on Debate Talk for You. You can catch me on there often, ripping somebody's head off, tearing down some false doctrine. Big shout out to all of the Debate Talk for You family and listeners and supporters out there. Keep supporting the movement. And, beautiful edification is getting put out to the masses right now. So again, shalom and call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
This is Renald Francoeur representing from Atlanta, Georgia. And when I'm not busy in the studio, I'm checking out Debate Talk for You Radio. Keep up the great work, Sal Showtime.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 7 of Debate Talk for You Radio. Of course, this is Sal Showtime, but it's officially Monday. You know what that means. It's time for the Relationship Challenge segment on Debate Talk for You Radio. And, of course, we appreciate all the people that's calling in via phone and via Skype on down at that number, 319-527-6239. Today's show is entitled Self-Worship When Praise Goes Wrong. Once again, today's show is entitled Self-Worship When Praise Goes Wrong. Of course, we're going to bring in the host of the Relationship Challenge, Emunah Israel. Matter of fact, we go out there, Emunah, you got to press number 1. I don't see you. Press number 1, we'll bring you in. And once again, it's a classic segment of Debate Talk Radio. Here she is. This is Emunah Israel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brother Sal. Praise be to the Most High. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. I look forward to this segment. The phone is ringing as soon as I went on. But definitely, I'm here, Brother Sal. I'm here.
All right, most definitely. And make sure you check out Emunah Israel, all on social media, Facebook, YouTube. As a matter of fact, I have all of her information if you want to check her out in the description box. And I'm going to put that as well on the YouTube page. And make sure you show your support and support black business. Check it out. And let's go to the home panel. And we appreciate the home panel for being here each and every Monday when we have the Relationship Challenge. Let's go to my brother, who's the host of A Night of Fire. It's Ahwar Da Swordsman. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Shalom, Ahwar Da Swordsman, a.k.a. the Fireman. You spark it off, I'm going to put you out. Shalom, Big Sal, my sister, all the people that's on the panel. How you doing? Everything's good. Everything copacetic. Let me say this before I forget. Got a hot show tomorrow. The name of the show is I Sold My Soul to Satan. Deep understanding on worshiping the devil that a lot of people don't want to talk about. It's going to be a fire show. That's why a lot of these cats in the rap game, they worshiping the devil, don't even realize it. But we're going to go into that tomorrow. I just want to pass the mic.
All right, make sure you keep a lock on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Debate Talk Radio, A Night of Fire. But let's go to the next home panelist, and once again, go check out her YouTube channel as well. I have all that information in the description box. Make sure you subscribe. Also, go to the Facebook page. Show your support of the people that's on Debate Talk for you, and you appreciate the information that they relay to you each and every week, or every other week, as a matter of fact. And also, if you need some quality flyers, if you need some quality advertising for a very affordable, low cost, I have the information as well in the description box, and done by no other than Mayanah Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Evening. As Sal said, this is Mayanah. Just weighing in on our show tonight. So if you want to know what I'm up to, you can check me out on my Facebook page. I will be populating the YouTube. I recently added a Twitter account. So I'll give that information to Sal, and he can slide that into the description box. And if you need to holler at your girl, then we know what to do.
All right, that's Mayanah right there. Like I said, I'm going to leave it in the description box on Blog Talk Radio, and, of course, on the YouTube page, and automatically it's on the iTunes podcast, or the information that you see right here to reach out to the special guests. So let's get right into it. Emunah, take it away.
All right, this one's interesting. Once again, more praise be to the Most High. Welcome everyone to the discussion. The Relationship Challenge, what is this, Brother Sal? Episode 22, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 22.
22. 22, all right now. We've been doing this 22 episodes. We've been speaking about a whole lot of what's going on, or what's going wrong, rather, with the relationships that exist amongst us at this time. And this one is very important because the individual becomes one of the very important keys or building blocks for a relationship. And so the question is, as myself and Sister Mayanah was thinking about, some of the stuff that we're going to bring, to add more to this season, the question came up about self-praise. Because I always say broken bricks don't build strong houses. And so if the one individual or both individuals in the relationship is are kind of having like a kind of a narcissistic personality disorder, so to say, or narcissistic tendencies, because sometimes it's not the full disorder, but sometimes it's the tendencies. And anyone knows about narcissists, he in their story within their space, he looked into the water. He was so in love with his reflection, and to my understanding, he reaches in and falls into the water. And so this is where they get the word narcissist from, meaning that somebody's in love with their own self, but it's in an unhealthy way. It's not to say that you have self-esteem and self-respect. It's one that you're literally in love with yourself. Like, you feel that you're better than everyone else. No one is on your level. Everyone should be subservient to you. And it comes in the personality of men and women. And so we're going to talk about that today because it's apparent that this mentality affects a relationship and it hinders it from growing. And we just want to see, again, the audience listening, has anybody experienced it? Sometimes if you're not the one who experienced it, you might be the narcissistic one. You might have heard people say this to you and you're like, oh, I've heard that before. I don't really believe it. But, hopefully it will be the mirror that we can look into this evening and begin to sort out some of our own issues that cause for a lack of a connection and a longevity of relationships. So with that, that's basically the opener. When praise goes too far, when you're always in need of praise, when someone doesn't recognize your greatness, do you get in a funk? Do you throw an attitude? Do you know what I'm saying? What do you pout? Like what exactly? And you see a lot of this on social media. So with that, I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna start with our brother Ahwar and come Sister Mayanah, and then we'll take it from there. Brother, have you come across this? It could be in leadership. It could be in people within the congregation. It can be yourself. Brother Ahwar, the mic is yours.
Yes. That's crazy, right? That's one of the biggest problems that I encountered being an Israelite, okay? They have an old saying, everybody want to be Indian. I mean, everybody want to be chiefs, but nobody want to be Indian. And that comes from everybody want to be this, exalt themselves at this certain level, but nobody want to play the low man. A lot of people think that they're high. Well, the Savior is the greatest example to pattern ourselves because he was real humble. He was that humble where he was the authority. He's a great authority, but yet he got down and washed the disciples' feet. Okay? So he said this. I'm going to start off with this. This is St. John 7, verse 18. It says, he that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory. But he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. So if you see a man looking for glory, pushing glory in your face, or whatever, or the same thing in a relationship, he's in a relationship with a woman and he got to make it mandatory. I'm the man. You know it. It's an initiative. It's something behind that. He having a hidden agenda with that. That's a very serious deal. So I'm patting myself now after the Messiah. He's the great instructor of righteousness, what the Father wants us to be, how the Father wants us to be. And the greatest example is the Most High, because he's the Most High, and they have people that get rocks and bow down to him and say, this is what gave me glory. And yet he still provide rain for them. He take care of their children, give them good health, and he's humble. He don't have to do that. I mean, they built statues saying this statue is what created me, or this rock, and yet he's that humble where he still gives them rain, good health, food, and all that. So I learned that from the Father too, to be humble. But he doesn't exalt himself, but he's the one that needs that. Anybody needs to be exalted should be him, and he doesn't get the praise that he deserves. But I'm just gonna pass the mic with that.
All right, that was the opener from our brother Ahwar Da Swordsman. Sister Mayanah, self-worship when praise goes too far. Your opening thoughts on that conversation.
Sorry, I didn't unmute my mic. As you stated, we were going over the next issue to bring to the people and to see what is going on and how we can talk to the heart of the people. And this issue of self-praise, or the issue of praising the self or praising one person, that's when praise goes wrong, where we begin to almost idolize or emphasize one person, and we become disconnected from our true power. We start to put someone else in his seat and in his place, and a lot of that comes from, that thought was, for me, that thought was connected to this idea of who is leading, And we tend to put, like I said, we tend to put people in those spaces. Sometimes it's ourselves, which is why we began it with that introspection. We always want to begin with the self. We always want to see if, before we say that we are doing this outwardly, we want to do a kind of self-audit to see, are we guilty? Are we doing our own self-worship? Do we put ourselves first? Do we become personally prideful when someone appears to disagree with us? Like, do we take that thought? Are they questioning our credentials? And that's something that we have to be cognizant of. Are we doing this for the work of the Father? Because everything we do is supposed to be for the work of the Father. And then are we in it for the accolades? Are we in it for how many likes we can garner? What are we doing it for? Who's who? And we were talking yesterday, right, about the performance, how some certain activities are just a checklist, and it's the performative aspect of things, and that is so superficial and so surface, and it doesn't get the job done. And when we start to demand worship, we demand adoration, we start to demand a sort of respect, and I think that becomes problematic. And I think that it also becomes problematic when, on the reverse side, we become the type of people that need to have a figurehead that replaces the Most High, and we want to idolize that person. We put that person first. And so these are the things that I think we want to talk about today, about, do we do this with our spouses? Do we do this with our jobs? Do we do this with, do we have a type of hero worship? How are these things connected to the topics you've been discussing about the cult of domesticity? How does it factor there? How does it factor in our worship practices, our congregational practices? So, I'm really interested to see how this is going to unfold, because the topic of misplaced worship is an important one, like you said.
All right. This is very interesting because, and thank you for that. Thank you for your opening statements. For those who just joined us, if you would like to join the conversation, feel free to press 1. This is something that, you see the behavior, but you really don't see the person jumping out necessarily and saying, yeah, bow down when you come to my town. But there is things that you can see in someone's behavior, their disposition, their mentality, as you said, how they interface when they feel someone has angered. They say, oh, my goodness, you've angered the deities. This whole, they're flags or red flags or signals that can show us or let us know or alert us that the person who we're interfacing with may have a thought process of self-worship, and by extension, meaning others should also worship that individual. I think it starts off from childhood. And it can go 2 ways. It can be that person always received this level of adoration, this level of exaltation, this spoiling, and that person grows up into a narcissistic personality where they feel like, oh, I don't want to anger little Jimmy. That if you have a parent like this, either male or female, mother or father, if you have a parent who catered to the every need of the child, then the child will have that spoiled brat syndrome. Or it can also work in the reverse, where the parent didn't meet the needs of the child, and so now the child, in their own self, has now deemed that their needs exceed everyone else's, and because they're lacking, they're not going to care about anyone else's needs, and they're going to go for theirs. And so there's not just one scenario, and there are other little scenarios in between. There's not just one scenario that would create this mentality in an individual, but just looking out over the landscape, there are definitely a lot of individuals, even if they don't have the fullness of it, that we have certain characteristics within ourselves that if we don't take a look at, we're kind of overshadowing because you're only supposed to worship one power. And so, like Sister Maya said, when we have leaders, when you have teachers, when you have mores, or when you have people within the community who now begins to feel as though their word supersedes the Creator, that becomes a problem. It always has been a problem. And that's one of the things for me personally, that I'll pass the mic. As you read the Torah and as you reflect on the Torah, like they say in the Caribbean, everything that's good to eat is not good to talk, okay? Just because it happened, doesn't mean that it turned out well. And that doesn't mean that it was the divine will of the Most High, because the Most High gives people the ability to choose. And so even in the choice of a king, a man king, this process of giving someone that we can physically see to worship, that was never a good idea. And so when we translate that worship of the self, worship of the man, many were saying, ye shall be like God. There's two varying doctrines. There's one that's circulating in the quote-unquote conscious community that women are gods. And then Israel says, no, women are not gods. What kind of madness is that? But on the other hand, men go, have you not known that ye are gods? So, it goes back to this deification of humanity and this need for the whoever else to worship the self. And it gets very deep as people begin to weave scriptures in and out of this thought process to demand of others the respect or the adoration that they feel they're due. What do you think about that, Brother Ahwar? What are your thoughts on using scriptures like "Have you not known that you are God"? Using these things to kind of say, and this is why I'm due X, Y, and Z. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, what was the question again? Say it again.
What are your thoughts on some people using the scriptures that, have you not known that you are God? Scriptures that kind of point towards this higher level, I guess, of operation for people, and many people use that to kind of, force a level of respect, or let people, like there's another one, you shall not revile the gods amongst your people, or the judges really is what it translates as. Some translations have gods, and so people make it as though if you are a governor over the people, then you are at a level of a small g. So, and is that a level of self-worship? How does that work?
Yeah,
like not going against the leaders, things of that nature.
Right, and that's when an organization become a cult, right? Where the leader have precedence over what's right and what's wrong. I'll give a good example. I see a certain group, right? They say they roll under the Most High and under Christ, but the decisions they make are according to their leader. You know what I'm saying? So really, who do you worship? Do you worship the Most High? Why you say you worship the Most High in Christ, but your leader have decision power over you to tell you what to do and what not to do. I'll give an example, right? This certain particular group, I ain't gonna say no names. They were doing rap videos about some other brothers, right? I stepped to the guy. I say, hey, man, that's wrong. Don't do that. You can't do that. You can't bear false witness against brothers and do that stuff. And I got that from the commandments. That's what the Lord said. And he said, he didn't listen to me. Like, yeah, whatever. Now, his leader came on and told him the exact same thing I said. Then they automatically stopped it. See, that's when you following the man. That's man worship. And you have a lot of that going on. And a lot of people can't tell the difference that they worship man or the Most High. They think they worshiping the Most High because they listen that their leader told them to do. But if my leader doing something, if I'm with a group, this dude that's ahead. If he do something wicked and he's going in a wicked direction, I'm not following him, man. He has to be doing what the Most High says. But I'm gonna pass the mic. Oh.
I'm just waiting for our hostess to prompt me to speak.
Brother Sal.
Brother Sal.
Can I be heard?
You can be
Yeah,
heard.
I got you. I'm right here. I just brought you back in. I got you. I'm right here.
Okay, yeah, my phone fell off. My apologies. Thank you for that. Because you're broadening the topic, although it says self-worship. Yeah, it can be the leaders. It can be the community. When you were speaking, it reminds me of when they say, "Pastor say," and a lot of times people ridicule the church, but then repeat some of the same mentalities and behaviors of that of the church. Like pastor could say anything, and then the people will do it because pastors say. And I've heard, in spaces where if an Israelite leader says, you really don't have to wear tzitzis, and then people don't wear their tzitzis because that leader said it's okay not to wear tzitzis. So it's like the people, and in not going to the text, it's this level of the leader allowing the self-worship as well, allowing themselves to be put in it, and it's a very strange space where you're being looked to for guidance from other people when you, the individual, haven't governed or learned to govern yourself. When you get this excessive amount of attention and adoration and respect, it's going to go to your head because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so this is why oftentimes in these spaces we see this happening to the leader because of the allowance of people to exalt them and worship them. Very, very problematic. But Sister Mayanah, your thoughts?
I think that what Ahwar said was very insightful in terms of how we deal with our leaders, and the way that connects to the topic is the second part of our premise is, apart from self-worship, it's when praise goes wrong. And I think that in a similar vein, and I would love to hear Ahwar's thoughts as well as the thoughts of the men who may be listening, but there's also a certain doctrine that is circulating among the people that if a woman is married, then the thought of her husband should be followed without question, even if it appears or in reality is contrary to the instructions of the father, that her obligation is first to him. And for me, this seems to be an apparent kind of move towards idolatry, to put, if our very first commandment is to put no one above the Creator, to then say that I will follow whatever my husband says, even if it is errant in terms of what the Father has instructed me to do, that there's a support for this type of thought. And when there is that kind of thought, and this is what the leaders are saying, then how are we going to address that? What do we say to that? Are there brothers? I don't know too many. I don't know any brothers personally that would forward that, but I have seen it, and I have seen a lot of women come to me and say, is this true? Do I even, to the degree that I am going against what the scriptures say, does what my husband says supersede that? So, I would like to. Now, I know my position on that is absolutely not, but I'm curious about what the brothers on the panel and the brothers listening would have to say about that. And in what way does that get explained or justified?
Want me to go?
Hey, Brother Ahwar, Mike and Joy.
Okay, right. Okay. I'm going to give a good scenario, right? A brother I know, I was counseling him. Him and his wife was having a problem, and he has children from another woman, and the sister was mad because she was exerting herself helping him with his other kids, and they hated her because you know how they go. So I told her, I said, look, you got to keep your pace. If they ask you, to help, whatever, but don't go beyond duty. If they can't stand you, they don't appreciate it, because at the end of the day, that's their father. And if you go or y'all break up or whatever may happen, that's still gonna be their father. He's gonna be there forever. So just fall back. Don't get involved with that, you know. And he was trying to use her like he was using her. And that's the thing. When a man go out to the scriptures, women got to know. That's why women got to know. You got to know your Bible. Everything is good as long as that man dealing that law. You have the right to say, hold on, you know, I got to talk to you. There's a way to say everything. What you just did, you got to show me that in the law. That's where a lot of women get jacked up because men are using this Bible, corrupt men are using this Bible and manipulating them to do stuff and try to camouflage like the Lord told them to do it. That's why the scriptures say this. This is Ecclesiastes 33, verse 19. It says, give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest, and give not thy good to another. Then it says, lest it repent thee, and thou entreat for the same again. Then it says, as long as thou livest and have breath in thee, give not thyself over to any. For it says, for better it is that thy children should seek to thee than that thou shouldest stand in their courtesy. And that's going for a lot of them women. They put their kids before themselves too. You know, but going back to that, don't let nobody have power over you, especially if they ain't dealing with this law. You know, a man try to make you do something wicked. You got to say, hold on, let me get my Bible. Show me where, you know, you're not being rebellious. You got to, that's why women got to know this book. Because Satan is a equal opportunity employer. He don't care what color you are. When he get in, you get in your husband. And you got to detect that. You say, wait a minute, that don't sound righteous. You can say, look, I'm not going to do no wickedness. Women got a right to say that. They have their daughters. They're the daughters of the Most High. Don't let no man have you doing wickedness. They got some women in here, women with these men. Men are letting these women do, you know, threesomes and all kind of stuff with other women and stuff, thinking that's righteous. All kind of crazy stuff like that go on in the Israelite community. But I'm going to pass the mic.
All right. It seems like Brother Ahwar started the night of fire early. He just dropped it. He just brought it up just a while ago. We're going to check on yeah, man, drop it back up. Yeah, him just brought up the stage and dropped the mic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wow. Okay, we're going to check the audience. Sister Mayanah calls for the masculine principle. The car, is he out there? Brother Sal, let us know if they want to chime in on that question. If we're speaking about self-worship when praise goes too wrong, Sister Mayanah asked the question in relation to some of the men using the scripture and kind of exalting themselves to a space of a level of, you know, demi-deities, of which the word is infallible, and they command that women, their wife, keeps it. And what are your thoughts? Brother Ahwar just chimed in. Let us know. Brother Sal, does anybody have their hands up?
All right, we're opening up the phone lines right around now. Once again, that number is 319-527-6239. If you already called in, just simply press number 1, and we'll add you to the conversation. I see we have a lot of people on the phone lines. So just press number 1 if you want to chime in. Again, today's show is entitled Self-Worship When Praise Goes Wrong. I don't know why they press number 1, but I got a question, though. I'm going to go out there. How do you tell the difference? Because we're talking about narcissist or narcissism, right? So how do you tell the difference between somebody that's a control freak and a narcissist? What's the difference? Is there a difference?
I think they have overlapping qualities. They have overlapping tendencies because in my studies, and I'll pass the mic, the narcissist doesn't come in one type. See, when you think you peg it, they kind of chameleon like meaning they morph to the personality of the individual. Like, so you could have a flamboyant narcissist, one who's just out there, and then you could have a quiet one. You could have one that's really dealing, really methodical and plan through the way they get their energy differently. So narcissism is a very tricky thing. All of it leads back to a level of trying to control and manipulate the person. But say, for instance, you or the individual is in need of what the narcissist is using to manipulate you. In the very beginning, you don't know it's manipulation. You understand? So if you're lacking in love or if you're lacking in attention, they will show you that only so that they can gain control of you. But in the beginning, because you're hungry for that, you don't realize it until they have you in their grips the mask falls off, and maybe you begin to see them operating in a way where now this is beyond, love and care. It's actually, suffocating. And so more often than not, unless they're like high-level narcissists, you're really not going to be able to tell off the bat, is this love or is this a control? And it's kind of something that you have to look for and be in tune with yourself as a person to say, okay, this is making me feel a bit uncomfortable. So at first they may call you all the time or text you all the time or always do what they say they're going to do, but it's only to gain a little bit of your confidence, a little bit of your trust. And then on the backside, the controlling measures might come out because you have those who may starve you out. They may use the affection as a level of manipulation. And so once again, it is a space I think we need to look at because of a lot of the trauma that we've endured through this, intergenerationally. I said that word right. I'm crazy, right? But I think it's something that we need to look at because a lot of us get in these dysfunctional relationships and that ends up being abusive if that individual doesn't have control over their faculties, And so, control and narcissism, but the narcissist is not the only one who can control you. Different personality types will use other means to control you, such as, a dependent, a poor me type of individual, a codependent. They will use the fact that they're always down or they're always depressed to suck your energy, and that is a means of control. So, that's my thoughts on that. Control or a desire to control comes in different forms. But I'll go ahead and pass the mic. Sister Mayanah, you have something to say?
Yeah, I agree completely because with the narcissistic personality, it's a very overwhelming, over-the-top kind of charisma that they bathe you in. And what happens is, like Sister was alluding to, it's not something that you would necessarily immediately be aware of because it's meant to be. It's not about you. I think that's the point. With a narcissist, it's not about you. It's about them, and all of their behaviors are to that end. So the things that they are doing to lure you in, for you to become an admirer of them. So if they find in you that you need something, they will meet that need and make you dependent on them. And then they will start to exaggerate their importance to you. And so there's that relationship where the expectation is that you need them. So the moment you exercise something that isn't about them, they will respond by being offended. They will respond by being despondent. They will respond by being aggressive or defensive because, since when don't you need me? Don't you know how wonderful I am? Haven't I been all of these amazing things for you? And that ties into what Emunah is talking about in terms of that the poor me kind of personality. It's like, how could you not? How could you not completely, love me? How could you not do that? Where are you going if not to me? And the narcissist cannot conceptualize a space where they're not the center of it. So, there's a control there because it's necessary. The narcissist needs to believe and needs to have his audience or her audience captive. And anything that threatens this captivity is a threat. It's a huge threat, and it will immediately start to lash out. I felt this Jacobite who I think is infiltrating the community. And there's a lot of that, from what I'm observing. That the response is very defensive and catty, interesting. But there's the need to control all of the moving parts on the part of the narcissist, because any autonomy on the part or free thinking on the part of the lover or the captive or the audience threatens that hold. with you, I would have to say there is an issue of control. And you know that you have found yourself in that kind of netting, whether it's with a narcissistic personality or any other type of overwhelming personality, when you find that there's no room for you to ask questions and there's no room for you to have consideration. There's no time for you to be on your own and not directly up under that other person. That's a controlled situation, being in a control, whether it's narcissistic or any other type of disorder. It's an unhealthy relationship, and there's wisdom in having that looked into and resolved.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We're talking about self-worship when praise goes too far. Just to balance it a little bit, to acknowledgement is important for a healthy individual. When children are growing, they're in need of acknowledgement. They reflect their environment. If you project onto the child that they're never good enough and they can't do, then they're going to begin to feel more often than not that way. Do you understand? So therefore, this not necessarily praise as in the child or a person is the creator, but acknowledging one another is important. And this is something that as a community, when I look across, I see we struggle with that to a certain degree as well. We're quick to say, look, this is what you're doing wrong, but when we're doing something right, everybody's quiet. And then that creates an imbalance as well. You're like, wait a minute, everybody's saying this is not being done, that's not being done. That's actually not true. The fact is that you're paying more attention to the negativity than what is being done. And so it is important for us to be aware that, this level of acknowledgement is important. But when it goes too far, when we're overcompensating for a low self-esteem, when we're overcompensating for a level of ignorance that we have within us, when we're overcompensating for and pretending and putting on this facade so that other people can respect us, and truly those who are closest to us, who are in our sphere, is like, man, if y'all only knew. This is another thing that's praised in the community, is that people go outside to get this, praise and adoration, but at home people is over here scratching their head like, man, police. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Police, y'all have no idea. And this is something that even people who are searching and seeking for the Most High and get sucked into these personality types need to be aware of. You may be attracted to it not because, because again, the person may have this je ne sais quoi. What do they say? They may have this pull on you. They may have this, they have this commanding energy that you're looking for. And then when you get sucked in, you're like, oh, my goodness. And then you run around and make 50 YouTube videos about how somebody's a cult. But the reality is you had some issues as an individual, and you were willing to worship this person. You were willing to adore this person. You were willing to do, 50 jumping jacks and 10 turnarounds and give all your money, to this individual. And then when they didn't meet your needs, which were unrealistic to begin with more often than not, because you put them in the stead of the creator, then all of a sudden now I'll tell you I'm no longer a whatever you're supposed to be. And so it works on both sides that, it is necessary, but it becomes unhealthy when we ourselves are unhealthy. And so we buy into these, my Lord says, that I need to scrub his pinky toe and do all of these 50 million things. You understand what I'm saying? And then when it goes too far because there's no boundaries and you really didn't get married, I'm going through all the debate talk for you now, so excuse me as I do a little bit of rundown. But after you didn't consult with your family members because you was grown, and then you laid with the man and that made him your husband, you understand what I'm saying? And you have no parameters. What happens after that? When there's no boundaries and he begins to go over because your self-praise and adoration, it began to corrupt the individual further, then you're looking for help. So if you can understand, all of it is interconnected. All of it is very important, but it starts with you, the individual, knowing what's acceptable, like Brother Ahwar said, knowing your scripture, knowing your Tanakh, and not just looking for a man. And men not just looking, I can't wait to get my Isha. And then when you get her, and she's 2 seconds out the street, you want to return her. And so these are all of the things that, we need to take a look at as we're having this conversation about being too ready to worship people, which you're not supposed to do, and all too ready to give them too much praise. I see it all over social media. And I'm like, wow, you absolutely don't know that person. Like, they could be posing in their bathroom pretending to be King Dawid. You know what I'm saying? But they could be like the most terrible person ever. And you're actually feeding into that narcissism or feeding into that disorder. And, Brother Ahwar, what are your thoughts? I know I'm over here probably rattling about toenails and King Dawid, mentality. What are your thoughts, Brother Ahwar? We're going to come to you, Sister Mayanah. And if you're on the phone line, feel free to let us know. Sometimes I try to break it up with a little bit of lightheartedness because it could be a heavy topic where people will get all bummed and depressed and kind of tune out from it because it might be too difficult to look at yourself. So, Brother Ahwar, are you there? Let us know.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on what you said, but I want to say this first, right? And I like to use the House of Israel, especially when I came out of the One West camps, because they created a big mess out there for the brothers and sisters. And the reason why that mess is so big and confusion, like I was on the show the other day, there was a sister came on, man. She was talking nice, and she ended up using a lot of profanity, man. And she said, I'm sorry, I just was so mad at, like GMS, all these different brothers. And I want to say this, right, that behavior was endorsed by a narcissist, a guy, I'm not going to say his name, he was a narcissist, okay? And like you said, something heavy, when everybody admired this guy and they had weak attributes with themselves, they soaked all that in. We all did. We soaked, I can speak for myself. I never really followed people, but people that had that kind of mindset, they sucked all his narcissism in. So that's what you see. Like all that stuff, that bitterness towards his sisters and all that, it was an individual that put that out, that put that out there in the streets like that everybody took it from him and started thinking that was doctrine. That's the way to teach. That's the way to be a man. Now, I want to read the definition a little bit right quick. It says narcissism is the pursuit of gratification from vanity or egotistic admiration of one's own attributes. Now, this is so true because that individual one time came to the camp. Now, I've been in this a long time. He came to the camp, and he used to like me to bodyguard him. This is one of the elite guys, one of the top guys that was part of the seven. He used to like me for some reason. He would come to the camp and say, look, escort me over here. So I'm escorting this guy, right? And we walk in. He tells me, he said, you see my boots? I said, yeah. He said, guess how much I paid for these boots? And I said to myself, I know this man ain't. I said, so I had to, he was over me. I said, well, how much? He said, $1,400. This is how vain this guy was, according to this definition. So this guy was the biggest influence to a lot of these brothers. And he was a narcissist. Trust me. He still is, too. But that's where that come from. A lot of these brothers were good brothers, but they were indoctrinated with that narcissism. And I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you for that, Brother Ahwar. Definitely. There is and I'll come to Sister Mayanah, there's in leadership, there's those who want it and those who don't. And oftentimes those who go after it, they have ulterior motives for going after it. If you look at the story of Moshe was like, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mosai, like, dude, you could find somebody else? And it's like, Moshe, I'm not finding anybody else, because he says he was the meekest of them all. If someone has a need for adoration, if somebody loves the limelight, them love the video light, as they say in the Caribbean, you have to be careful of that person, because they'll do every and anything to get it. They love to be center stage at something, but there's that individual who's kicking off in the back and like, nah, I'm good. And it's like, okay, in the most sense, like you said, Yonah didn't want to go for different reasons, but you see a lot of the prophets, they didn't say, hey, pick me, choose me. They was the dude in this corner, like, pushing their hand up. They was like, Isaiah was like, most I'm a man of unclean lips. Now, he didn't jump on the scene like, hey, my name is Yeshayahu, and I choose me. vote for me. He wasn't running for candidacy. He wasn't running for these positions. Jeremiah, the same thing. So we have to use these as benchmarkers. When Brother Sal was asking a question about control, it could be for a man or a woman. We have to use these signs and these red flags to say, wait a minute, you're a little bit too eager, like they say in the street. You're a bit thirsty. You know what I'm saying? And what are you really thirsty for? Because the chances are that when they get what they're looking for, this is where we see a lot of abuse of the people. We see it in the church, and we cannot say we don't see this level of self-worship and self-praise in the community because it's like there. You can't miss it. And a lot of people are being hurt and sucked in because they themselves are carrying that, if I'm close, if I'll just be in the front pew. The people used to sit in the front. If I'm in the front pew and the pastor drips sweat on me, ooh. So by association, you know what I'm saying, I'm lead because now the pastor just drips sweat on me. And this is kind of the mentality of what's going on here, that if you're the right-hand man or the left-hand man by association, or the woman or the wife of the pastor or the wife of the moray, by association, now this gives you value. So we have to continue to investigate this type of stuff because in there lies the problem. And once the person fails you or once they don't live up to your expectation of that high place that you put them on, then now everybody, like I said before, goes on this, social media campaign of exposing and all of this stuff. Sister Mayanah, what's your thoughts? I know you be in the trenches. Do you see this kind of stuff, Sister Mayanah? Let me know. Let me know.
Absolutely. There's a lot of, as you said, when women, I'm going to start with the women. I'm sure that there are many accounts of the men doing it as well. Actually, I'm very well aware of that. But I want to talk about the women because, I deal mostly with the women. And what we tend to do as women is when we get involved with a man, in our case, Hebrew men or men that present themselves as Hebrew men, we want very badly to put them on pedestals. And although it's important for us to restore that sense of respect to our men, to come just short of idolatry is a dangerous thing. Because what happens is we start to disassociate from our roles as daughters and sisters and women in this truth, and we start to pack up our entire identity in this wife stage. And we start to tie ourselves, like you said, to the prestige or the title of being with this man. But when he falls short of all of the things we have packed into him, and he's not perfect anymore, or he makes an error in judgment, we are so disillusioned that if the relationship completely falls apart, then what we leave is not just the relationship and not just that man. We leave, the entire thing. It's like the person, the sister will feel like the coach is not for me. The Most High failed me. And there's a sense that Israel failed him because the man fell short. And that's one of the key dangers in placing everything in men. The Most High tells you, don't put anybody before me. If you're looking, the whole duty. This is why I presented the question, because we are told the whole duty of man is to fear not men, not anyone else, but to fear our Creator and to keep His commandments. And as long as we are doing that, everything else falls into place. There is no reason to have to exalt your impression of yourself and think I'm overworthy and others should look at me. There's no reason to misplace your praise into your leaders or your husband or your wife or your children and then be completely disillusioned by these mortals if you have already firmly put everything into our Creator and His instructions, which is Torah. Torah tells you everything. The answers are all there. I think that when a war said that to know the law is your stabilizing point, I think that was the most poignant thing that could be said on this panel tonight on this topic. The cure to having too big of a head about yourself is looking into this book and understanding just how many times we fail as people. The cure to not feeling like you have to, that the culture abandons you when your husband makes a decision he shouldn't make or does something he shouldn't have done, somehow disillusions you or makes you or disappoints you. And then all of a sudden, you go your hands up and you can't do it anymore. I can't believe, and like you said, Israel is horrible. I'm going to go and write books and such about how all the men in Israel are horrible people and, they hate us. I mean, this is, it's why did you put your entire face is a man in front of you instead of saying, look, he went against Torah. Torah is perfect. We talked about this in our last episode. I'm gonna make this statement in that ramble and then pass the mic. But we talked about, I said in the last segment that it isn't that, people look at us and say, you guys are Israel, you guys are Hebrew, you should be perfect. The mistake in that statement is that we're not a perfect people. Our power is perfect. And when we have decided to look for perfection in ourselves or in our partner or in our people, then we have put our face in the wrong place because it is our power that is perfect. And we are continuously, or we're supposed to be, continuously seeking to please Him. And only by pleasing Him do we begin to approach the perfection in obedience.
All right, now thank you for that. That's the voice of our sister Mayanah. We're talking about self-worship when praise goes wrong. Brother Sal, do you have any hands in the air? I know it's a touchy subject. Brother Sal, what's going on in the social media land and on the switchboard?
Once again, it's the Relationship Challenge, Volume 22. Again, if you have any questions or comments, you know that number, 319-276-239. If you're listening via internet land, you can just dial that number and press number 1 and we'll add you in. I see you have people on the phone lines already. But feel free to press number 1 if you have any questions or comments. Remember, the show is archived. You can always go back and go check it out. Go to the YouTube page, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and check out the show. But I got another question since somebody else pressed number 1. Narcissists, right? Like, what are some of the characteristics, or matter of fact, I'll put it in this way. What kind of people actually do you think narcissists look for to date or marry? What do they look for in individuals, a narcissist, from a narcissistic mindset? What kind of characteristics they look for in a person? Let's go to Emunah.
Ooh. Like I said, based on my studies, it depends on the personality type. So, and by the way, Solonomics is finally out. Everybody, Solonomics 101 is out, and it kind of, helps us to be aware of ourselves, so that we can understand some of what I'm talking about right about now, and the discussion that we're having, a very important discussion. We look for, before we get to narcissists, we look for familiarities oftentimes. We look for, or we're attracted to, a portion that we may have been exposed to within our upbringing. And so the thing about the narcissist is, depending on their upbringing, they may be attracted to the individual. The person may not physically look like the mother or the father, but they have certain qualities that reminds the narcissist of this individual. And so the narcissist, depending on if it's the mother, the father, the grandmother, whoever the caregiver are, or who was exposed to the child ongoing, if they absorb their mentality of doing things, they're going to attract the opposite, meaning they're going to attract the person who the narcissist preyed on. And here's the interesting thing. In some cases, a narcissist will be attracted to another narcissist, which is like one of the wildest relationships. We usually think of them being attracted to like the codependent, the poor me, the individual who is easy to pick on. Because think about the narcissist kind of as this energetic bully. You know, like Mayanah said, they're the center of their world, and everybody else is just a squirrel trying to get a nut in their world. So they might be attracted to two of them coming together, or they might be attracted to the weaker individual, and it could be in the man or in the female. And so, again, like I said, when you think you have it pegged, you actually, you know, you got to be careful when you think you have it pegged, because, again, the way it shows up is not, okay, boom. Like if somebody's flamboyant and they walk into the room and they have this, you know, I am here, and then you could be like, yes, that's a narcissist. I could see him. But there's the cerebral narcissist, where the person will be or intellectual, and you would think the person may be cold and disconnected. So they're actually, to my understanding, there's two major groups that they may fall in. It's the one that uses their body and their swag, quote unquote, or their physique to get what it is they want, and then they have the other one who is more cerebral in the way in which they look for those who they're going to kind of play around with. And so, yeah, it's not cut and dry like that, Brother Shah. I wouldn't tell anybody it is. There are definitely some signs that you could look for, but once again, it's kind of like illnesses. They manifest different in different people. There's some people who have chicken pox and it comes all over their body. And when we were younger, my brother had one pox. It's like not even two pox. One pox. Everybody else had chicken pox. This dude got one pox. But he still had the chicken pox, if you can understand. So, again, it manifests differently. Those are my two thoughts on it. Sister Mayanah or Brother Ahwar, if you would like to share, feel free to do so.
Brother, do you want to say first? Oh, okay. Well, if I receive what our brother Salah is asking correctly, the question is, people are attracted to the narcissist. Is that what you want? Is that what you're asking, or what kind of person is a narcissist attracted to?
Yeah, what kind of people they target to date or be with? Yeah.
Well, since we have agreed for the most part that what is driving the narcissist is the need to be adored. Adored is a French word. It comes from the French that means to worship. So that's what drives the narcissist, this need to be adored. So what the narcissist would be attracted to, and the type of people that would be attracted to a narcissist, is the person that is more likely to be adoring. A woman who, or a man who likes to show affection, who is very expressive, who prides themselves on understanding someone else, someone who's highly empathetic, highly affectionate, very expressive. In the narcissist, they have like this big black hole they can pour all of that into. So someone who really has a lot of that energy inside of them, and they want to put somewhere. And the narcissist is going to eat it up. So the person who has the need to give is going to give to someone who seems very excited to receive it, if you get what I'm saying. And now, although the narcissist is obviously not coming from a healthy place, and neither, to be honest, neither is the person that's excessively giving everything away, right? The person that feels the need to lavish another person with something is also covering up a void. That they don't have when they're giving that kind of excess, it means that they don't have the filter to know when to pull back, and that they're giving excessively because they want to show that they are a good person, and it comes from a different place. The narcissist has this kind of performative way of doing it too. But with the narcissist, it's very calculating, and it's something that you have to pick up on. But the difference between the narcissist and the person that is genuinely empathetic or affectionate is that the narcissist is very calculating. It's very methodical. It's very clinical in their approach. Like, this would be the person that, donates to charity or does things that would be widely and axiomatically understood as a really great thing to do. They're the ones that want to, when you're looking saves the puppy, or darts into traffic to do something outlandishly dangerous so they can be, in a position of hero worship. And then the person that they're attracted to or would be attracted to that is the person that wants to then over-lavish that person. Wow, are you okay? What can I do for you? I'm taking you out for pizza. I don't know you from anywhere, but, I'm going to give you, come stay at my house. These people who really want to give will be attracted to somebody like the narcissist who really wants to receive it. And I think that I said that already. So since I'm being repetitive, I think that I've answered the question.
All right, Brother Ahwar.
Yeah, a narcissist come in many components. Okay, to me, the female narcissist is that woman that say she's voluptuous, right? Nice figure. Knows she has a nice figure, and will put on something to enhance or have men cater to her by wearing the little boo-boos out or having it show the contour of her behind. Now, to me, a male narcissist would be that guy that every 2 minutes he has a nice car, he's shining it up, keeping it shiny and sparkling, because he want to attract certain type of women to get, okay? On the job, I remember one time I worked a job, and I was working hard, and I stopped to wipe the sweat off my forehead, and the guy rolled up on me. He said, "You on my time?" He said, "You on your time or my time?" He was like a freak to be in control, like he was a nut. He loved it, being controlling you. He couldn't stop it. I'm like, "What's wrong with you, man? You crazy?" So it comes in a lot of different components. You got to look for that stuff. It all boils down to somebody that got to have either attention or control over you, some kind of control. And that's what you look for, looking for, trying to get that control over you and really, like, it bothers them if it doesn't, they can't get it. I had a woman like that. She couldn't control me. She tried everything to this day. She's still trying to destroy me because she tried to take my daughter and all that because she can't control me. She's a narcissist. But I just want to say that.
All right. Now, people that are in narcissistic relationships, do their partner usually suffer from depression? Let's go to Ahwar. Oh, yeah, matter of fact,
you
hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Emunah. You can answer that question.
No, you said that the partners usually suffer from depression?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There are different ways. Today we're talking about self-worship, but there are different personality disorders that someone may have that may look, they're like overlapping symptoms between narcissism and other disorders that may look like it but may not be totally it. The Europeans have their things that they've come up with to look at these overlapping factors, and you have to have a certain amount in a certain category. But a person, for instance, who's either borderline or manic depressive type of personality, a borderline person is like they're really depressed one day or for a few days or a few weeks, and then they're at this like crazy high where they can fly high and they could take over the world. Some of the symptoms wants to kind of look a little bit like, they may be narcissistic. But when you look at them, their overall, you will see that maybe they may be something else. Narcissism, again, you don't have to be one or the other. It can be overlapping. The depressiveness within, I have seen depressiveness within this personality disorder, where it is that they're not getting what, like what Ahwar is talking about. If they've been trying and they're not getting what they're wanting, they're not getting the energy from the people or the person that they're looking for, that can put them into a depressive state, if you can understand what I'm saying. That could, until they find a way to get that energy. Because you have to understand, as children, we relate to the world as it's us and everything is related to us. And this is a natural part of development. What's supposed to happen is we're supposed to grow out of that space, where it's not all about us. We have to learn empathy. We have to learn interaction. We have to learn to share. But there's some people who get stuck in that space. And so just like a child who would throw a tantrum or fake like they're upset or act like they're sad so that you can come and say what's wrong. That's the same thing adults do. They either fake the depression or they're really into depression because basically, for some, if they're in a relationship, they feel that they're not getting what they want. And so this is the way to kind of manipulate the other individual to coming to terms with what it is that they want. So that's what I would say. You might see depression, but depression is not always saying that it's a narcissist. There are other things that goes with that as well.
All right, Ahwar, you want to address that?
Yeah, like you said, being a narcissist, some of us are all born with, like what the sister said, with many different attributes of spiritual damage. Okay, some are narcissists, some are control freaks, some are very weak people, some are insecure. So if you don't feel like she summed it up real good. If they don't feel like complete, like they satisfied that desire of being a narcissist, yeah, they can go into deep depression. Sometimes they can have a breakdown and go crazy, man. I remember one time, my ex-wife, it was this guy. She showed me on the internet, like they were playing video games, and this guy was such a narcissist that he got so crazy when he won. He emailed the guy a picture of him making the number 2 in the bowl. It said, "Eat this." That was the slogan. Eat this. That's how sick he was with that stuff, man. So it can be crazy. I'm going to pass the mic.
Yeah, it's crazy. Mayanah?
The way I heard the question was whether or not the spouse of the narcissist would experience depression. And I'll answer that. I think that it's possible for the spouse, because I said to you before, that because what the spouse is looking for and what the person who might be attracted to them is someone who is very rooted in being, super nice and that they want to lavish the person. The narcissist doesn't want to be bothered with your feelings. So if you're the type of person who will put your feelings aside to cater to them, they love that. If you're the type of person who has a lot of self-control, that's great because you're not going to bother them with your feelings. That's great because they don't want to be bothered with their feelings anyway. But if that changes and the spouse finds themselves in a place where they need something, like let's say the husband is married to someone who has a narcissistic personality, and in the beginning, it's great because they want to be everywhere, they do everything, and they're very energetic, and he likes that about her. But then one day he needs something from her, and he wants to express this need. She doesn't know what to do with that because it's not about why do you need something. We were supposed to be talking about me, and I don't know how to deal with your need. I don't understand. I don't know how to process now. You need me to do something. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to be pretty. Like, aren't I pretty? What do you mean you have feelings now? Let's talk about me. And it's a very uncomfortable space for the narcissist. They're not going to know what to do when now you want them to be sensitive to your needs. So the moment the other person has a need and they become very aware of the fact that the person they're married to or in a relationship with is not at all concerned about that. And once they have stopped giving everything away, and now they're down to nothing, and they're looking for the reciprocity that's part of a relationship. And then when it's time for reciprocity and it doesn't come back to them, I can see that causing the spouse to experience depression. The way that relationship works, everybody is in their manic phase of giving and receiving. The moment the one or the other person switches gears, and the giver needs and the receiver, wants to get it just throws everything off. So I can see how that can happen for the spouse who has been giving all along and meeting the needs of the narcissist who wants to consume. If a woman has been catering to everything. Oh, he comes home and, all of her thoughts are about him. He never has to hear about her complain about anything. She never talks about her headache. She never has a headache. She never has a bad day. She's smiling all the time. The day she comes home and says, baby, I have a problem. He's like, what do you mean you have a problem? I don't want to deal with any of your problems. And he's suddenly very dismissive of her. And she's feeling like, but I've invested so much. I've given you everything. I've loved you all this time. Everything you needed, I gave you. Now that I need you, you don't have any time for me. That's a very jarring reality.
That sounds like a pill.
Well, that's the psychology of the narcissist. Remember we talked about earlier that the narcissist is a receiver. The narcissist is a consumer to receive your praise. The narcissist does not want to invest in you. Everything that he said to you is surface. You're not supposed to scratch it. Don't look for any depth. I'm only saying this to snag you. But the person that's being snagged, the person that is the most susceptible to that, is the person that is saying, I love that. I love, you will cater to that need to be adored. It's the person that wants to adore. But the moment the person that wants to adore needs to have some reciprocity and the narcissist is unable to provide it, there's going to be that break. And the depression that Sal is asking about should occur at that point, at the point where that break happens, where the manicness of the relationship is over, and now they have to face the reality that people have needs that need to be tended to. The narcissist does not want to deal with anything authentic or anything real because they have created, like your sister gave you the mythology of it. What happened was the narcissist looked into the water, and the image that reflected back to him was his own face, but it wasn't real. It was his reflection in the water. So when he went to reach for it, it was nothing. It was nothing there. There was nothing real or authentic. The narcissist doesn't deal with what's real or authentic. They don't know how to process authenticity, and they really don't know how to deal with real feelings, real situations, the reality of anything. None of that's important as long as it's beautiful and big and pretty and about them. That's the only world that's safe for them. Brother Sal, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just waiting for you to. Yeah, I was waiting for you to chime in.
Phone keep dropping. For those who just joined us, self-worship when praise goes wrong. It sounds like one of them. It sounds like one of them TV shows. But definitely, as we're talking about, somebody trying to say something. Okay, it's when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about our personality issues that we bring to the relationship that causes them to have these breakdowns. That, 2 months after you, quote unquote, married, you're ready to write a bill and send her forth. You understand what I'm saying? Because when we arrive, we are in love, infatuated, not love, with the thought of the individual. Our projections of what we want, not what we're really seeing. And especially coming from places where people are vulnerable. Because oftentimes when you wake up to your consciousness, the people that you've known in times past didn't wake up too. And so now it's this extra desire to link up and hook up with somebody who's like onto you. So, you're awake too? In this day and age, all it requires is that you were Zizi's, I were Zizi's. Or you conscious, I'm conscious. Nothing about the personality, nothing about, whether or not your personality, their history, none of that. We become so wanting, so desperate, so needy in this space. Our criteria has really dwindled down to, you read, I read. And sometimes it's not even that. Very, very interesting. Brother Sal, do we have anybody on the phone line? Phone lines is like, woo tonight. Anybody on the phone lines who would like to share? It's like
man, we're in the ghost town right now, the Twilight Zone right now. I mean, they listening, but they ain't pressing that number one.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Are y'all over there biting your fingernails like, oh no, they in my business? You know?
I think they're fascinated by the narcissistic conversation we're having. They're like, oh yeah?
You know, they're singing that Carl Thomas, you know. I wish I never met her.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
It's real quiet. And this is another thing I noticed in this space that I dwell in about healing. If you wanna argue a scripture, people will show up. Like, we gonna go at, we gonna argue this scripture till the cows come home. And you start talking about the self, it'd be like, You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to say nothing. You know, we could argue about what color skirt, you know what I'm saying, Ruth had on. You know what I mean? But when it comes to this type of stuff that deals with how we actually purify our vessel, our mind, our heart, and be able to get closer to the Most High. Now, this is too real. You know what I'm saying? This is too real. But it's okay. We'll absorb that uncomfortableness. And I have to go for my caller. We got to call.
Somebody setting it off. Somebody setting it off. Let's go to 717. You're live on the air.
I had to help y'all out. My question is, after having been in a narcissistic relationship, how do you come back from that, and how do you, because someone who has been in a relationship like that, is very easy to want to label or put that label on other people when you go to get into a new relationship. You see what I mean? How do you come back from being in a narcissistic relationship, and how do you allow yourself to become in a healthy relationship without having that paranoia there that you're getting into another one?
I want to take Emunah's line and say take time to heal, because you absolutely have to do that first. If you find yourself, I stole Emunah's line, but I don't want to steal Emunah's time. So Emunah, go first.
Hey, that's the tagline. Everybody will be like, Emunah, I already know what you're gonna say. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. No, seriously though, analyze how you got there. If you made a wrong turn and you don't know how you got there, chances are you'll make another wrong turn. And so because we attract somewhat of what resides within us, whether it be subconscious, conscious, most times it's subconscious, you need to. It would be beneficial if you actually understood how you attracted this individual, who in your life mirrored this person, what was familiar about this individual that made them attractive in the first place. And that's the self-work that you have to do, because if not, like I said, I'm speaking from experience, they will show up, and because you're looking for what this person looked like, and this person doesn't look like that, you think you're in the clear, but actually they just manifested differently. And so the buck stops with you, the person, to say, you know what, I'm going to do this healing. I'm going to find out. I'm going to go into my childhood, go into my adolescence, and find out why was this type of energy attractive to me. What was I missing? What was I in need of? Was it mommy love? Was it daddy love? Was it whatever? I don't know, but that's just what I would say. Like Mayanah said, she kind of, that's my tagline, take time to heal. And it's a whole process that has to take place. Instead of just saying, got it, you bullet point it and say, got it, don't look for that. And then you, boom, it comes in a different way. And you're like, wow, I didn't expect that. And then you're back at square one again. So definitely, I will go ahead and pass the mic.
I mean, to add to what Sister Emunah has already laid out, you mentioned that how do you not put that on the next person? And Sister Emunah did say that sometimes these things represent itself just a little bit differently. And what I think we find when we find ourselves in a pattern like this is that it's not that all of these people are the same. It's that you're the same. Those people are different, but you have projected. Like, for example, in the case of the narcissist is attracted to the person that feels this need to overcompensate by overindulging. If you haven't stopped the behavior of overindulging, that person, that's not going to change. That person will become, or you will continue to do the behavior that attracts the narcissist. The narcissist is going to say, okay, she likes to give me things, I like to get things, fine. And she has no chill. She has no filter. There's nothing in her that says, I can't give until I'm empty. And women do that. Women confuse the nurturing of our being with lavishing, overcompensating, and if we want to do it bigger and better. We feel like if we are we're very expressive to him, won't he appreciate it? If I'm super extra over the top vulnerable, won't he see that I'm not like? And we do this. I'll speak for myself as well, me included. There was a point in my life where I felt that it was my purpose to prove to the man that I'm not like the woman that hurt him. So I would do everything to make sure I didn't reflect whatever past pain he's still nursing. I didn't do that to you. I would never do that to you. And in all of my efforts to not trigger something about one of his ex-girlfriends, I'm the one paying for what someone else did to him. And I didn't break him, but I'm the one trying to fix it. And I didn't change that thought pattern. I didn't change that thought. So I would wonder, okay, so how come this guy doesn't appreciate? I gave him everything. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did everything I was supposed to do. And yet, I stood there, why am I not getting this back? I wasn't supposed to. I was making up for things I didn't do. I wasn't being a good person. I thought I was being a great person. I'm not being a good person. I was like Emunah was saying, I was just spoiling the person. You didn't give him a chance to give you anything because you were giving everything away. And then we make it seem like because I don't want him to feel burdened, I'm not going to ask for anything. And you put the other person first all of the time, and there's never a point where he needs you. You can't do that. The relationship has to be reciprocal. The idea of balance has to always be there. The Most High has a balance in his creation. And if you go into the relationship and upset that balance, every relationship you have is going to be maladapted. It's going to be unhealthy. And the condition is going to repeat. So identifying what you are doing, taking time to have that kind of self-audit and say, well, what did I do in the relationship? It's really hard to admit, maybe it was you. It's really hard to do that. I had to do that. Trust me, that was a very harsh moment in my life when I had to say, maybe it's me. And then say, okay, well, why did I do that? Why do I feel the need to protect him from his past and things I didn't do? Why do I feel the need to do that? I was able to figure all of those things out. I spent a lot of time with me trying to figure that out. So when I took Emunah's line of take time to heal, it was from a position of information. It was an informed position that I'm saying. So if a sister or a brother or anyone finds themselves in a position where they have left one bad relationship and they're entering into a new relationship, and I recommend not immediately entering into a new relationship because the energy that you have accumulated from the one that you were just in, you have to expel it. You have to completely detox from it for you to have the distance in order to have that introspection that you need to do so that you don't bring all of that debris into the next relationship. You want it to be clean.
All right. That was the voice of Sister Mayanah. Brother Ahwar, your thoughts?
Right.
And we'll go back to
Right. They used to have a commercial. It used to say, you can learn a lot from a dummy. And I use myself to edify other people. A lot of mistakes I made. And like I said earlier, women and brothers, especially women, it's mandatory you know your book, you know your Lord's word, because you can go and cure yourself through the scriptures, because the Father had the cure in the scriptures, what he wants you to do. And I use myself as an example. I was learning that when I was in relationships, it was all turning out the same. I was getting the same results. So when I examined myself, I found out that I was double-minded, okay? And what I mean by that is I set a standard for myself, and then when it gets, I'm in a relationship and that standard, when it gets to a point where the person comes to that standard that I want, and I know they can't get over it, I take it down where I should have kept it up, and that cost me. So I started getting, so the more standards I started bringing down off the bar, the more he started going beyond what I wanted. And next you know, I found myself in a situation. I said, see, you back here again because you took down your standards. And that's what women, set your standards. This is what I want. This is what I'm standing for. If you cannot give it to me, I'm not going to compromise it. So don't even deal with me. And it'll save you. The thing is, too, with that, you have to be patient. Because if you set them standards, a lot of cats are not going to deal with it, and they're not going to deal with you. But stick to your gun. That's how you're going to get what you want and who you want. Don't never compromise yourself. Don't ever do that. That's the worst thing you ever can do. That's all I'm going to say on that.
All right now. We got people showing up today at the relationship chat. Hallelujah. Thank you for that, Brother Ahwar. Thank you for that. I mean, it's real talk, learning from real mistakes in real life. This is why the Creator says when you bethink yourself in the land of your captivity, when you think back on the things that you've done and the mistakes that you've made in spaces where you didn't know the Most High, this is the realness of it. Sometimes we'll think you just wake up and then all of a sudden all of your reality just melts away. That's not true. We're coming from places where oftentimes we didn't know. And prayerfully for the generations going forward, we advise them rightfully, but it doesn't negate our whole experience. And like, is that the commercial with the test dummy? You can learn a lot from a dummy. Yeah. I think that was that's an old school commercial. You took that back, Brother. Well, I was like, chill. I see the dummy in the car with the seatbelt. But anyway, you took me back for a minute. But I thank the caller for calling in, Brother Sal. Brother Sal, I've been doing work all day, y'all, so my voice is going out. You already know. I had a show earlier today. Brother Sal, are you there? Let me know if we have anybody with their hands in the air.
Yeah, anybody else? Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. I mean, we're here for you. It's called Debate Talk for You, so feel free to call in with your questions, your comments. I know it's a very touchy topic, but at the same time, we're here to help. And again, it's called self-worship when praise go wrong. Again, that number is 319-527-6239. Shout out to people on social media land that's sharing it on their personal page, and letting people know that Debate Talk for You is on the air. And again, if you want to reach out to the special guests, all the information will be in the description box on YouTube and, of course, on Blog Talk Radio. My next question, though, is for people that are in marriages or relationships. Matter of fact, let's go to marriages. If they're in a marriage and they know that there is a narcissist, how does that affect the children in any way, or could that be passed on to the children, narcissistic characteristics? In what way? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, let's go to Emunah. Go ahead. Let's go to Emunah.
Oh, yeah. If I can say it in 2 words, oh, yeah. Like I said, in the natural growth of the personality, children pass through this phase. So not all the times, but often, narcissists don't like children, whether it be a mother or a father, because in their mind, the children is taking away the attention that they deserve. And so it can be passed on, because now the child is going to either get an overage of because the parent is doting and they're, so that the parent can create another narcissist. As it relates to your question of can it affect the children, it definitely can. The parent could create another narcissist by spoiling that individual, like I said earlier, or the parent can create another narcissist by withholding the love, withholding what it is that you need. And so when that child grows up, that child is stuck in the give me mode. So both of those, if you're in close proximity to a narcissistic caregiver, masculine or feminine, it will definitely affect the child, because the child doesn't necessarily have to become a narcissist, but they may develop other personality shortcomings. They may become a recluse. They may become codependent, where it is that they don't trust their own instincts. They can't step out there on their own. They're not sure of themselves because they were never allowed an opportunity to build a good self-esteem. All of these things, they can become paranoid. If they have a parent who is over excessively, oh, don't do this and don't do that, or you have to, then that child becomes paranoid. So there are all kind of things. Like I said, the personality plays into how it's going to manifest. But will it affect the children? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely will. And it's just a matter of, if you have one parent who's conscious and is aware, they can lessen the effect that will have on the children. They can lessen the trauma. But if they're not aware and they're actually, in that space of being manipulated, then, yeah, more damage will be done. So I would say, wake up. That's what I would say. I would say wake up, know who you and what you're dealing with, and to the best of your ability, try to minimize that damage that could possibly be done to your child or your children.
All right, Mayanah.
I would agree with my Emunah that it would definitely impact the children. It would be very hard not to impact to impact the child. The behavior of the parent, whether it's this particular disorder or anything else, like a parent that is addicted to narcotics, whatever the parent is doing, the child is absorbing, or the child is observing. So in the case of a narcissistic parent, like Emunah was saying, is that the narcissist can create another narcissist. And you might wonder, well, how do they do that if they've already placed this kind of emotional wall? Because the narcissist doesn't want to share attention. So how then do they go about the business of spoiling? One of the ways a narcissist can do that is because the narcissist, as I said before, the narcissist doesn't know how to connect on any authentic level. They don't know how to connect with feelings and deal with the child on that level. So what they do instead is they buy them off, or they find other ways to placate them. So in an effort to not have to deal with their feelings, they give them a toy. They let them go to parties. They let them, they start to give them the kind of freedoms that would relinquish their responsibilities towards the child. So the child believes that they're being spoiled because all of their external needs are being met. The parent is not sitting down and having any kind of parental guidance moments. There's no teaching moments. There's no I love you moments. There's no intimacy moments. But there's a lot of material giving, a lot of very superficial giving. And so the person, to create another narcissist, would have to have a person who doesn't know anything about intimacy, that believes that their words have to do with external things. So that would come from the parent that provides external things, and the parent that does not invest in things that are emotional. The way we are able to relate to other people is by the interactions that we have. People that are where the family is highly invested in them. I think Emunah and I were talking when we were talking about some of the good points of domesticity, like the idea of sitting around the kitchen table for dinner. These are moments where the family bonds. It's an opportunity to have a conversation, to be invested in one another, to be interested in each other's ideas and their days, and that creates a type of child that feels understood, has had their feelings validated, has had their life experiences validated, explored and discussed, and that's a healthy communication, which is why parents talking to children and having these kinds of gatherings, having family day, movie day, Monopoly day, these are all great things. This is why the Most High gave us the Sabbath, so we're not distracted by other things and we're invested on Him and on what needs to be done outside of our neighbors. But a child who doesn't have that, a child who goes to mommy crying and receives, a Ferrari, doesn't get the same kind of connectivity. So instead of looking for validation, looking for validating others, all they have is what is material, and they are expecting to receive material rewards because that's what they grew up receiving. And that's how you reduce that kind of maladaptive behavior. I hope that answers the question.
Ahwar Da Swordsman.
Yeah, I like what David said. Right, I'm gonna read it. This is Psalm 51:5. It says, "Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." Then it says, "Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom." So we're all created with hang-ups and mental issues. Sometimes we inherit it from your mother, your father, your grandfather, your grandmothers. So the question is, how, because, I may be a narcissist, or this guy may be a person that's jealous all the time or whatever. We're all born with some form of spiritual damage. So how do we fix that? What do we do? Well, that's why we got to get a new mind. We got to move in a new mind. Okay? This is Ephesians 4, verses 23. "And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that ye put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness." So we have to reset our minds and put on that mind. That'll cure everything for us. Whatever way you think, or you think you know everything, or you think you may think you're insecure, or whatever. We all can get the same mind where we, with this wisdom that the Father gave us, that we can get back right and think in a positive mind. That's the thing, because sometimes we act the way, we all got ailments. Some of us are narcissists, some of us are this, some of us are that. But this Bible shows us how, this is like, I call it our repair packet the Most High gave us. This book, the knowledge and wisdom of this book, you can repair yourself. That's why we got to know our book. We got to know our book. I'm going to pass the mic.
Yeah, I got a few comments on social media about this topic. Some people are saying that a lot of narcissists tend to blame the other person and make them out to be worse than them. Is that true? According to your research, let's go to Emunah.
True. It's true or false? True. Kane. Yeah, that's pretty much accurate. Because one of the things with this type of personality, again, like I said, it's easier to picture the child, the lack of desire to accept responsibility. And so when someone is stuck, or like my father would like to say, crystallized in this space of not accepting responsibility, wanting but not, so when you can imagine now, and I like to tell people, sometimes when we see people grown, we think that inside they actually grew simultaneously, and this is not always true. And so most of us are walking around, depending on the place that we were majorly injured, some are 12, 13 in grown people bodies. Some are a little bit older, 15, 16. Some are 7 or 8. And our expectations and the way in which we relate to our situations reflect that mind of that child. And so, yes, they don't like to accept responsibility, and you will always be the person that they're going to project whatever is wrong on, because accepting responsibility will break the facade of I'm the greatest ever. You know what I'm saying? So how could I be the greatest ever and live in foo-foo land if I'm wrong? I can't possibly be wrong. It got to be you, because I'm perfect. This is the mind of the narcissist. I'm just saying. It's like, it can't be me. It got to be you. I'm just saying, but yeah, I really think the mind. Brother Sal, you still there?
Yeah. Mayanah, you want to chime in on that?
Oh no, that was perfect. That's exactly what I was saying. It's the bottom line is that yes, am I still being heard? Okay. Yes, the bottom line is that the narcissist will be inclined to project all responsibility onto the other party because precisely for the reason that Emunah suggested, is that to accept any type of responsibility, any type of flaw, any type of crack, you don't want to pull the curtain on the magical Wizard of Oz. You don't want to look behind the curtain, and the narcissist is going to protect that curtain with everything they have, and if that means putting the blame on you, projecting the fault onto you, then that's what they will do. So you have to have a pretty strong sense of self and not be moved by that, because the narcissist is dependent on your adoration of him. There's no reason for him to or her to concede any points to you. The point is for you to adore them. If they admit to some fault, what is your reason to continue to adore them? What happens if you never come back? That really reaches into the fear of the narcissist. If I admit to this flaw, what if they don't come back? What if they don't trust me anymore? What if they won't listen to me anymore? I'm not perfect in their eyes anymore. That's too risky. They're not going to do it.
Okay, and I have one more thing. If they do, perchance, acknowledge that they did something wrong, you better understand that it's coming back like 100-fold to you. It's coming back like they're going to come back with everything in the arsenal. You know what I'm saying? Everything that they imagine that you possibly did. So it might be a little tiny concession, but understand it's coming back like full force.
Right.
Because I need to deface you now. I need to make sure that because you embarrassed me, you ripped the hole, you pulled the string on my clothes. The emperor now has no clothes on. You took my mask off, and so they're not going to take kindly to that. It's going to be a bit of retributive. And if they're passive aggressive, this is why I say it's very complex, because if they're passive aggressive, you might not know when it's coming back. You don't always have the aggressive, overt narcissist. You might have a passive-aggressive narcissist who just looks like a person who's very docile, but internally a lot of their dialogue takes place inside of their head. A lot of their disdain and indifference towards you doesn't take place verbally. It takes place within them. And so that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But definitely good question. Good question.
Yeah, good question.
Can I say this? A great illustration, a great movie to watch to get a great illustration on a narcissist is that movie What Love Had to Do with It. That character that Tina what's his name? Ike Turner played.
Ike Turner?
Yeah, when she did what she could do. And she said, "Look, man, I'm tired." He said, "Yeah, you tired, all right." That was a good movie. Look how he was moving in that movie. If you want understanding of what a narcissist is, look at that character he played. I'm not sure he was like that in real life because they over-exaggerate stuff, but look at that character he played. That's a true narcissist.
Yeah, that movie was wild. Look what you made me do, Tina. Look what you made me do, Anime. Like Anime was to blame for everything in that. He made Anime, made him put the cake in his face, Anime, and that's one of the things they would say, you made me do it. Again, not accepting responsibility. Look what you made me do. If the person is abusive, and then, you have to watch out that if the person is verbally or physically abusive, and it could be male or female, they will come back with the love bombing afterwards. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Here go flowers. Let's go outside. And all of a sudden you think everything is peachy keen until, boom, you're back into the cycle again. And one thing about this type of personality specifically is that they cycle. They do cycle. And so this is something that you have to also. And it might be you. You might be like, man, I don't know that person. It might be you. The person, I'm just keeping it 100. You might not know the person because the person may be you. And we have to accept where we are. And this is like Ahwar spoke to it. How are we going to, after we say what the problem is, we have to be real and acknowledge, you know what? I don't know no one like that. And then you're like, I wonder if that's me, because oftentimes we're seeing us like nothing's wrong with me. This is our modus operandi. This is how we operate. But other people may have made the same observations of you, and you discounted them, because this is what a narcissist does. I don't accept rebuke. You know what I'm saying? You the one who got the issue, not me. And so if you have gone on and on in life and keep getting the same, criticisms, critiques, and you don't take heed to them, the truth of the matter is it might be you. And that's a hard pill right there. But may the Most High be with you, Brother Sal. Are you there? Not speaking, and there's no one on the line like anybody. I'm just saying for those who may be listening that it might be you. I'm just saying there's a possibility.
No doubt. Yeah, once again, it's Debate Talk for you. We have like about only 2 minutes on the air, though. We got 2 minutes on the air, so we're going to pretty much, wrap it up real quick, real soon. But if you have any questions or comments, we're going into the overtime part of the show. Just dial that number, 319-527-6239, to hear the rest of the show live, or you can check out the archives later on. Again, I see we have a lot of people on the phone lines, but, you can press number 1 if you want to say anything in regards to this particular show. Again, what the show is called Self-Worship, when praise goes wrong. All right, I guess I'm going to throw a final question out there. I've been asking all the questions all night, you know what I mean? I'm going to throw a final question. Does a narcissist recognize, let's say I recognize these qualities in a person, and I say, you're a narcissist. Can they accept that they're a narcissist if you point it out to them? All right, go ahead. Elaborate on that.
I'll let Mayanah touch that. All I can say is, go ahead, Sister Mayanah.
Not typically, because understand this: the narcissist is operating on a sense of entitlement. So if you tell the person, when the person hears this diagnosis, they think that you are implying that they want something they're not entitled to, or you're being narcissistic. Look, I'm not being narcissistic. It's the truth. And that's the mentality that they're having. I'm not asking you to do something you shouldn't do. I'm awesome. So this is so clearly the case. And they need it to be the reality. So they're not going to hear narcissism as relevant to them. They believe that this is something that, because if you're calling them a narcissist, for them, they're like, okay, so then you are seeing through what I'm projecting, and you're not accepting it as a fact. You're trying to get me to deal with something that's rooted in reality. The narcissist does not disturb the fantasy world they have created for themselves. They don't have any room for that. It takes a great deal of therapy, introspection. There has to be a break. For people that have real mental health disorders, there has to be a break. There has to be a moment where the individual sees something and wants to change. And if the narcissist is still in their full-blown, they're in the blossom of their narcissism, they're not going to hear you, because there's an implication that acquiring of you isn't due to them, and entitlement is the name of the game for us, the narcissist. So they don't need you labeling it. They don't need you trying to add to any inklings of reality to things. Naming things makes it real. We don't want any reality interjected into this larger-than-life fantasy that they have created for themselves. All they need from you, they don't need you to think. They just need you to adore. They don't need you to ask any questions. Don't question it. It's beautiful. That's all you need to know. It's beautiful. I'm right. That's all you need to know. Don't ask any questions. Because, as we discussed before, they're not really interested in your feelings. They don't know how to respond to your feelings and your assessment. And we talked about conceding to the point. When they concede to a point, it's going to be very surface. It's like, yeah, I was wrong on that, but it was a little thing. It was a small, especially compared to all the things you're wrong about. Remember all the things you were wrong about and I was right about? Because you have to make up for that. Okay, I was wrong about this, but it's so tiny. Especially, and they'll bury it under all of their accolades and all the things they were right about. And complete it so we can start talking about the little things that, okay, maybe I was wrong about that, but let's not forget how wonderful I am about all these other things. And let's go back to adoring me. And that shift is going to be very immediate and very swift. Shining a light on them trying to get them to face something they are not willing to face, it's really not going to happen. Narcissists do not want to deal with authenticity or reality.
And I think to that question, Brother Sal, and yeah, but Sister Mayanah, just really, it sounds funny when you say it, but these are some of the conversations. To add to that, I think when I first started doing this study, I came across this kind of personally, I needed to know. And when I scoured, anybody knows me, I did in my research, I get hard. And when I scoured the place looking for information, the majority of the people was like, leave them alone. Go, run far. You know what I'm saying? I only found one woman. I'm serious. Everybody was like, because I'm like the repair person. This could be repaired. And everybody was like, run, like, the place is on fire. Just go. And one woman, she's out of Australia, spoke. She's the only one who spoke that it can be done. And she shares, her name is Kim, and she shares the story about her husband who was a narcissist and how her real life, and she does seminars and all these things, her real life, how she had to a certain degree, in order to salvage her marriage and her space, he was aware, but she had to then help him to grow. And it's a thing where the narcissist has to come to terms with inside of themselves that this is where they are, because what happens is it's a break from that growth process. And it's nothing that you can force. I would say for anybody who may hear this, because, again, we like to self-diagnose. Be like, oh, yeah, you're a narcissist. Okay, if there's one thing, they may have the characteristics. To have the full-blown disorder is something else. However, I think it holds the most value to the individual who may be involved with this individual, so that you will begin to understand how to change your behavior, how to put your parameters in place, how to safeguard yourself so that you can no longer continue to allow yourself to be abused. Sometimes we get the information, we want to go out and change the world. It's for us, chances are you're going to get backlash. When you're dealing with a narcissist and you begin to say, okay, wow, I know what's going on here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reestablish some boundaries. You are going to get kicking. You're going to get screaming. You're gonna get silent treatment. You're gonna get attitude. You're gonna get all of the little drama controls to try to get you to get back into the natural swing of things where they control you. So, to your question, Brother Star, I would say the person could try, but don't be sad if you get what you came for. You know what I'm saying? Because based on, like Sister Mayanah said, based on that person's thought process of themselves, you're just a hater. You know what I'm saying? You just hate all of my grandiosity and all of my, So it would be for the individual to say, you know what? Okay, now I know what I'm dealing with, and I have to find a better way to interface, and then begin to assess your situation and your reality. But forcing someone, good luck with that. Especially if they didn't ask you, good luck with that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make a point. Like, for the narcissist, it's either you're a fan or you're a hater. There's really nothing.
Oh, you're a hater. Oh, yeah. So you're going to go to the hater category real quick. Real life is perfect. Go ahead.
Right. They'll never own it, especially if you have to say something. But I want to say this, right? The Southern man addressed that very attitude in a parable. Check this out right quick. This is Luke 18:9. It says, and he spake this parable unto certain. He said he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. It says, 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, the Most High, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. And he was talking about the brother standing next to him. He was so busy looking at him and exalting himself, being a narcissist. Then it says, I fast twice in the week. See how he's talking about himself? I give tithes of all that I possess. Then it says, and the publican standing afar off would not lift up so much as his eyes into heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, the Most High, be merciful to me, a sinner. So the other guy had the humility. Then it says, I tell you, this man went down in his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbled himself shall be exalted. So the Most High is against that. Okay, that kind of spirit. That's an evil spirit that a person have on them that they got to correct. I'm just going to pass the mic with that.
I want to interject before we move on. I want us to be careful. I mean, we're spending a lot of time talking about narcissism, but I don't want, as Sister Emunah said, for the listening audience to go out and diagnose everybody with narcissism. Everyone that has an inflated sense of self, everyone that that may require attention, that isn't a narcissist. So, I mean, we get vocabulary, we get introduced to thoughts, and we really like the sound of them, and we kind of attach it to everybody. Like, let's go ahead and tag everybody. Similar to how any conversation about valuing women or thinking about how women are featured in the culture, hardly any discussion about women is feminism. Usually, feminists, and because in 19 blah blah blah, the feminist movement. Okay, everything is in feminism. Every conversation about women is in feminist, and it's feminism. And everything, and every person that you meet that has an inflated sense of self or an unhealthy sense of self isn't a narcissist. I mean, there's the egotist, the megalomaniac. There are. I mean, there's any host. I don't expect for everybody to have this big book of DSM. My edition is DSM-4, but last time I had to study psychology in college. It was the 4th edition. I think we're up to 6 or something now. But everything isn't going to. Like Emunah said, there are features of disorders, and there's an overlapping of things. So some things that are common to narcissism are also found in other types of disorders. And to diagnose or misdiagnose someone with the one thing that we know about is not going to be helpful. If your spouse isn't a narcissist and you are trying to treat the disorder as if he was a narcissist, you're not going to get the right results because maybe he's dealing with something else. Maybe he doesn't connect to you or she doesn't connect to you in terms of your feelings because they're suffering from something else. You know, we confuse schizophrenia and dissociative personality disorders all the time. Every time people are, you have schizophrenia, and I'm like, okay, that's totally not what schizophrenia is. But it's a word that people know, so they use it. And they're really describing something else. Schizophrenia is a disconnect from reality for other reasons. But I'm saying this, I'm taking a break in the conversation for this reason. We don't want to misdiagnose. We don't want to go to the thing that we know and then try to especially when we're trying to heal. We're taking time to heal. And if you're trying to heal yourself, we're trying to heal the relationship, then we really have to be invested in taking the time to be accurate about what the problem is and not taking what's convenient or what's close or what's familiar and saying, yeah, that's what you're suffering from. That's not going to help.
All right, so let's pretty much wrap this show up. As a matter of fact, Ahwar Da Swordsman call dropped. You know, it is an overtime party, so I think you got a 2-hour limit line or something like that. You know, it's called drops in the second hour. But let's go to Emunah with some last words. Go ahead.
Yeah, what the sister said. No, but yeah, basically, yeah, you know, that last story, you can't be like Oprah, like you a narcissist. You know, you just giving out narcissism awards. It's definitely, like I said, it's best for the edification of the self first. So it's for you to be able to know what you're dealing with, assess your reality, assess yourself, assess your partner, but not necessarily for the point of, you know, trying to force the person to understand. It's really for you to understand because the only person that you can control is you. And so we talk about self-worship, going too far, or worshiping other selves. All of this is problematic as it relates to Torah. All of this is problematic as it relates to our return. And if we have this, because some people do it for their children as well, and we really didn't bring up children in this, but some people worship their children. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel as though their children could do no wrong and go to far lengths to put their children in before the Creator, which all of these things are a problem. And I'm just getting to the core of why we do what we do is imperative in the healing process. So definitely, I think Mayanah brought out a good point at the end. Go forward in the most high speed, but next thing you know, we see nothing but narcissism all over social media. I be like, yeah, that's what they said on social media. Everybody's a narcissist. Not necessarily. Let's first take it for ourselves and analyze our reality. So definitely, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Another classic episode. I love the transparency, the honesty, and prayerfully we can continue to heal.
Shalom, everybody.
All right, so see you guys tomorrow. Take care. God bless.
Yeah. Shout out to South Showtime.
The Almighty Spawn.
I am
God of music.
The Almighty Black God Spawn. And this that debate talk for you. We got that straightforward truth. We can see both sides of the end. You can say the same or change all your views. This that debate talk for you. We got that straightforward truth. We can see both sides of the end. You can say the same or change all your views. This that debate talk. For you. We got that straight talk. The truth. So what you waiting on? If you ain't trying to learn it, what you hating for? Say no more. Yeah. Speak your peace, leave in peace, and don't be violent. Don't be swayed, don't get played like a violin. Ain't no fussing, just discussions in the lion's den. Hot seat burning up like a fireman. The subject matter's obvious, though it can vary. We discuss a lot of religion and politics. Keep it straight like a hockey stick. Learn as I listen in, and I'ma win. This that debate talk for you. We got that straightforward truth. We can see both sides in the end. You can stay the same or change all your views. This that debate talk for you. We got that straightforward truth. We can see both sides in the end. You can stay the same or change all your views. Yeah. Debate talk for you radio. Yeah.
God of music.
If you need an added push to have your products heard by 1,000 listeners out there, come advertise on Debate Talk for You Radio. All you need to do is send me an email at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com, and it's a $25 fee for a whole year to advertise, whether it be a live event, a book signing, merchandise, website, or if you have your own radio show that you'd like to promote. Once again, advertise right here on Debate Talk for You Radio. Take advantage of the low fee. Trust me, no one else will give you such a low fee to advertise via worldwide radio. So once again, send me an email at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com for more details.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
Okay, class, let's go!
Whoa, we're starting already? Step to the left, no to the right. Oh, now back. How are they lunging like that? Turn around? How did I let Jen convince me to come here? Wait, now do what? How are they doing that? You know what? I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm doing in this class and have fun.
Fearless is being the only newbie in class. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits, tools, and wellness programs at fepblue.org/getactive.